For our second-year anniversary, me and my girlfriend drove up to St. Ignace. It's a small town in Michigan just north of Mackinac Bridge. We rented a cabin off the beaten path, bought a case of beer, and spent the first night kicked back behind a campfire. We were both teachers, so we talked a lot about the activities we planned to do with our kids when we got back. Our conversation continued for about an hour. By then the moon was full in the sky, and the trees around us created a blanket of darkness that even the light from our fire seemed to be incapable of permeating. Crickets chirped in the tall grass. We cracked open beers left and right, pitching empty cans into a pile behind us. Life was pretty good. And that was when the bald man came. My girlfriend saw him first and nearly screamed. She tugged at my sleeve and pointed discreetly at the man staggering over to us, emerging from the darkness like a spirit from thin air. He moved spider-like, with long, exaggerated steps, and his arms swung like pendulums at his side. As he came closer, I saw he wore a tattered t-shirt splashed with mud and a silver chain around a long, thin neck. I was never very good in school, the man said once in full view and sat cross-legged on the ground opposite to us. He put his hands, they too caked in the same mud that flecked his shirt, to the fire. He flashed us a filthy, broken-toothed grin. I assume that you two are teachers. That's right, I said, standing up. And who are you? Oh, she didn't give me no name. Up here the mother don't give no names. You can just call me Mister. The bald man stuck out his grimy hand, frowned when I refused to take it, then pulled it away and wiped down his shirt. I'm gonna have to ask you to leave, I said. I was about ready to go inside the cabin, grab my phone, and call the police. Next to me, my girlfriend held tight to my arm, her eyes locked like a cat's on the man's every move. No, that's not right. He stood up and pounded his feet on the ground, moving with the speed and ferocity of a savage animal, but suddenly stopped. Stood still, turned around, marched straight into our cabin, and shut the door. It was like he forgot we were even there. My girlfriend wanted to leave. I understood where she was coming from, but all our belongings were in that cabin, including the keys to our car and all of our money. It was late and the cabin was a couple miles from the nearest town. At the very least, we needed the keys to the car. You're not going in there, she said, and pulled me back to her. He's a fucking lunatic. That doesn't change the fact that we need the car, and I'll be damned if he steals it. Even after arguing over it for a full 5 minutes, she refused to budge, but so did I. Finally, I shouldered her off, taking a deep breath and charging toward the cabin. When I reached the door, I opened it a crack and peered inside. Nothing. Blackness. I opened it further, still nothing. It wasn't until I opened it all the way and stepped full inside that I saw the bald man standing naked on top of the bed. The mother has come, he whispered. What the hell are you talking? But before I could say any more, the door behind me slammed shut. The deadbolt snapped into place. I threw my weight against the door, but the hinges held strong and I fell backward. The bald man started to laugh. His was a chortle, the kind of laugh maybe a morbidly obese man might have. And as he laughed, he went backward, slowly, letting each vertebrae click into place until his hands and the top of his head touched the bed. He arched his back, his spine popped, and he screamed, "Mother!" as he jumped off the bed and skittered around the room like a creature. He panted as he moved, and his eyes were playing shadow tricks in the moonlight. For the first time since I was 10, I screamed out loud and scrambled on top of the bedside table as he pursued me with tongue lolling and saliva dripping. I felt his foot brush against my ankle. I jolted forward, nearly losing my balance, and hit my head against the wall. "Mother!" the bald man chanted. And as he chanted, I felt the wall against which my body pressed begin to move. Its plaster lurched against my spine, as though filling with air, as though breathing. Sweat rolled down my back in rivulets. "Mother!" My girlfriend began pounding on the door. "Mike, what's going on?" "Mother!" The wall began to deform and the outline of a face emerged. It watched me, plaster hands wrapped around my waist. Meanwhile, the bald man continued to skitter, continued to produce little cracks and pop with every contortion of his staircase spine. "Mother!" Then the wall was upon me completely, and all transformed to black. I woke early the next morning, lying on the coast of Lake Michigan. I was naked. A tattoo of Omega stood in fresh relief to the rest of my chest. My girlfriend was gone. Eventually, I found my way home. That's where I'm at now. But something in the world around me is different. All of my friends act like nothing happened, and when I tell them that Sarah is missing, they look at me funny and say, "Who's Sarah?" Despite having known her for the entirety of our relationship. I even called her work, and apparently they have a teacher who, according to the secretary, has been teaching Sarah's class all year. Ultimately, I'm thinking of going back to the cabin to see if I can discover exactly what happened. What this tattoo is all about and where Sarah is. I need answers. But at the same time, I'm too frightened to even leave my living room.